Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii. We are now in the final stage on our hunt for all of the red star rings and the S ranks. It's time for Planet Wisp. It's beautiful, the music is great, and oh, it's become all industrialized. But regardless, thankfully this stage is way easier than the likes of Aquarium Park because these stages are actually small. They're not gargantuan, you're not underwater. Getting all of the S ranks and the red rings in this stage isn't nearly as difficult, but that's not to say that some levels didn't give me problems. Firstly, there's the timing for that one. It's surprisingly difficult. So that, again, you have to hold forward and quick step at the same time. It's really not as easy as it sounds. I don't know whose idea that was. So it's like, I don't know whose idea it was that you could use just the Wii Remote for this game. That was a dumb idea. And then you didn't have enough buttons. Plus, whoever uses just the Wii Remote for this. Anyway, Planet Wisp Act 1. So this one you're going to be making a lot of use of the spikes and rocket wisp. And here's something we don't see at any other point in the game. Instead of a trail of rings on where to use the rocket, they give you a trail of spinner enemies instead. Just bash them all as you're on your way up, and then skydive your way down to the first red ring. You've really got to be careful in Planet Wisp because a lot of them, what looks like a bottomless pit isn't actually a bottomless pit. It's one of those games. So, they like to hide the red rings in those fake bottomless pits. And it's not like there's a trail of rings or anything that leads down to it. It's just a fake pit. Sometimes it's just because there's a lower part of the level. Other times, yeah, it's just a hidden alcove that you can get into, but you wouldn't really think about it. Gotta be fast here, because you do have to go under this with the spikes wisp. Now, surely Sonic can slide under that, right? I didn't really think of that. He probably can't slide under it. I don't see why he couldn't be able to slide under it. So it defeats the purpose of the slide. Right, the difficulty with this section is staying on the top. Especially when you have enemies that you've got to boost into. Such as that. So boost off that ramp and then try and stay on the top path. I don't think you need to stay on the top path with this bit. It's when you return here later on. Like that's just a shortcut. Gives you some points, depending on whether or not you want the points for the rainbow hoops or the points for the drifting. I imagine the rainbow hoops are more though. It makes sense, because you don't exactly get much of the drifting bonus. That's the only time the rocket wisp is ever used against a curve and you actually see it move. Like the curve does push the rocket. It's the only time something like that ever happens. Spike Wisp is still very awkward to use. It's because when you start moving, if you just, like say you're moving right, if you just keep holding right, he will keep moving. Even when he's technically moving left. But the moment you stop pushing that control stick, it will react to the change in direction and then you suddenly have to start holding left. That is what keeps throwing me off. Like that is what keeps messing me up. I don't know why it does that. I mean, technically it makes sense, but it's just like, why can I still hold right if I'm now going left? Just make it the direction I'm going in. I mean, I guess if you're upside down, it's a bit more awkward, but you know, anti-gravity, it's always like that. Okay, it's technically not anti-gravity, but you know what I mean. I think you have to stomp on that spring. Stomping on springs does make you go a bit higher for the very few times you're ever going to use that, you know, besides the yellow springs. That's like the only time you ever need to do it on a red one. But these things are misleading. Once they've landed, their hitbox is no longer there. So the moment you start seeing it flashing, its hitbox isn't there. You can still see it, but technically the spike ball is not there. I don't know why. It's a weird bit of programming, or lack thereof, I guess. I hate this part. This part is kind of annoying because of all the spikes. Without using the spikes wisp. And it's also very slow. Come on. Let's get up there. Especially when you start sliding down like that. Come on. Almost there. I'm not going to bother going after all those rings. But this is always satisfying. I don't know why. It's just something very satisfying about being able to just munch your way through everything with this frenzy. Especially when you can get a slam bonus like that, but you do have to jump to try and get that last one. I don't think it really matters how fast you do it, just as long as you do it with the frenzy Wisp. Try and get the 10 rings that this guy shoots out. Sadly, they did drop down. It's not very easy to do. That's it. They do bring those guys back in Sonic Generations as well. Got another one here now. I am missing all the 10, except for that one. These guys are used for some missions in Sonic Generations. They're just constantly spitting out rings. You've got to collect a certain number of them before you reach the goal sign. Really boring. But then again, so are most of the missions in Sonic Generations, so I guess nothing new. Wow, 159.99. I did not notice that I did it in that time. Interesting. Right, Act 3. So this is where you need to stay on the top path. This is technically the second half of Act 1. Only this time, arrow chases. And they're in some really weird places. Like you have to jump there because you can't just hit the egg forms. That's a really tricky bit of timing to do. And Sonic is technically automatically moving forward, so if you jump to use that homing attack, you will keep going. I just barely made that. And use the laser to get to the second red ring, causing slowdown in the process. Right, so now we've got to use the cube in all the right places. So it's a bit of a maze to get these last few red rings. So what you want to do first is you want to stay on the top path and then just get to the end. Whilst hoping that you have the rings the right way round so that they don't swap back. So once you've taken out those egg pawns, you will then get that red ring, and now we can go back and get the remainder. So I want to stick to the top path first, go to where I broke that second set of crates, make your way down. And there we go. I did get lucky then, that they were already the right way round. Or maybe it's only in certain locations where they actually switch back. I don't know why they would do that, but... Well, I don't know why they would do that. That's stupid if that's ever the case. Right, now this one gave me a hard time in the initial playthrough. But thankfully I did manage to do it in one go here. Again, Sonic's jump is very stiff in this game. Which so there are times where it looks like you've got to double jump. Don't double jump there, only use single jumps. It's easy to think you can double jump for that. I mean, you probably can, but it's quite awkward to do. Like, Sonic is always packing a bit of forward momentum when he's jumping. And the double jump doesn't really cancel it out. I mean, I'd say the double jump is better here than in Sonic Lost World. For starters, Sonic actually stays in his ball form. And he doesn't lose all of it. You know, he keeps the momentum, I guess. Unlike Sonic Lost World, where he pretty much loses all of his momentum. The Wii U PC version. Screw the 3DS version. The jumping in that game is horrible. When he stays in this ball form, other than that, it's horrible. And I jumped right over the checkpoint. I swear Sonic's acceleration is slower when the camera is going around corners like that. So does this count as 2D or 3D? I mean, I guess it's 2D. You're still technically on a 2D plane. But it's 2.5D. To a lot of people, they seem to think that 2.5D simply means that you have moved. But some people, they seem to just think that Super Mario 3D World is 2.5D because it plays like a 2D Mario game in 3D levels. No, that's not what 2.5D is. This is 2.5D. A 2D movement plane, but you can move, but it has 3D graphics. So we have a background here, like this, or New Super Mario Bros. Wii. This is exciting! It was really bothering me because those were like the last two rings I had, but then I saw the other four and I felt better. I saw those other two and I just felt better. It's like, okay, they're not the only ones I left behind. That makes me feel better now. Because I don't trust Sonic's jump on these platforms. Anyway, go back. I think I really need to jump for that. That gets you the Rocket Wisp. And now something unusual. There is no indication that you can use a rocket wisp here, but I guess since you've got it, you're going to think I should probably use it. So if we go up into the air here, once you grab that other red ring, launches you into the air, sends you to a grind rail. You want to stay on this upper path. These things are awkward because they change direction before you can use them. Like they go in the direction that you're pointing the control stick, but if you point it upwards, it will go up, then it will go down again, like that. And then you need to activate it a second time, and then it goes back up again. I don't know why it does that. It throws me off because it looks like you're switching directions. For the longest time, I had no idea how you were supposed to use those things. Like, I understood it in Generations because it worked the way I expected it to, but that messes you up. Yeah, I mean, it's in the end, they're really not that much different from the way they worked in Sonic Unleashed. It's just in that game they were quick time events, but really it just depended on what button you pressed. You pressed X, you go upwards. You press square, you go straight forward. You press circle, it drops you downwards. And then whatever the 360's equivalent was. This is what I mean by trick bottomless pits. Like, you think that would be a bottomless pit, it isn't. I mean, I think this game does warn you when you're near a bottomless pit, so your clue would just be the absence of that. But Planet Wisp really likes to do this. We'll be seeing one later on as well that's particularly bad with that. Anyway, if you just follow the path up there, then you can just land right on that red ring. So this one gives you a choice in directions. That said, I kept missing this one. I don't know why, because the rings are right there. I kept missing the first one as well, even after I got it a number of times. I got it the first time, then I forgot it the second time, and the third time. It took me a lot of tries of this, by the way. And there we go. I'll have Frenzy Wisp again. Again, see, this is satisfying. I kind of wish the screen didn't keep freezing every single time you broke something, but I also can't really tell if the screen freezing, like what we're seeing here. Like, is that the frame rate, or is it just the graphics messing with me? I can't tell. Oh well. You don't get points for the yellow blocks, sadly. I mean, it would be kind of silly if you did, because you could just keep getting points over and over and over again. Yeah, we saw this one in the initial playthrough, and the last one. No, that was the last one. What am I saying? That was the last one. That looks like a drifting section. It isn't. You're just hold forward there, and Sonic will just go. I don't think it's automatic, but just hold forward. Because you can still move left and right, and that makes it quite awkward to do. Alright, Act 6. This one is very grind rail happy, and this one is the absolute worst when it comes to trick bottomless pits. So, I mean, technically you can fall to your death here. But it's not exactly as it seems. So, let me attack these robots, and then just fall down. You'll enter one of these random skydiving sequences, so I don't know why Sonic doesn't just always do this. So why can he do it down these pits, but not down other pits? I mean, regardless, he'll probably end up falling into that poison purple water. I guess it's poisonous. But yeah, that's the worst offender right there. You're like, that looks like it should be a bottomless pit. And technically it is. Trying to land on that grind rail is quite difficult. And trying to get out of here with the hover is kind of difficult as well. I love doing this, I don't know why. Come down here, be very careful because again, moving platforms. I don't even know how I was able to do that homing attack, but I'm not complaining, and I barely made that as I got out as well. Still, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now what happens. I will never give up the fight. But it doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you did it. That's all that's important. It's not how you do it. It's that you do it. Right, so this is where I missed out last time. I got up here and then I got sent in the wrong direction thanks to those things. The spikes. Cannot come into contact with for some reason. Well, he can, but then he gets bounced off. go. Again, this is where I can trick you. That looks like you should be able to drift there, but it doesn't. It tricks you. Stay on the middle path to go through all of those hoops. I say path, the middle rail. Now we're in the hardest part of Act 6, because it's mainly the camera. The camera is really zoomed out. We didn't really see this in the initial playthrough because I used the hover wisp and then I used the spike wisp to get to the top. And you still need to do that because there is a red ring at the top. So you have to do that. So keep climbing to try and get to the platform over there to grab the spike wisp. And then just use the spike wisp to go all the way to the top. But you are then going to have to fall down a bit more because there is another red ring. So you got to be careful that you don't just land on the goal ring. Why is this here? How high up does this go anyway? I never really bothered going to the top. So now we have that. Now we got to drop down. Ignore the goal ring. And then go back down here. This is the worst bit because you can barely see Sonic. You know, if you've got a big TV, you can still barely see Sonic. That part threw me off because somehow there is a switch up there. I think you've got to use the hover to reach it. But I missed it. And they do disappear after a while. I assume you can just hit the switch as many times as you want. It's a good thing Sonic still retains elements of his gravity-defying homing attack from Sonic 06. Yeah, all the rings do disappear after a while. So you're probably supposed to use the hover. You can't really get the red ring with the hover, but other than that, you're probably supposed to use the hover or the spikes to get to that switch. Or you could do a homing attack and accidentally hit it like I did just then. And there we go. And with that said, all red rings are now collected with that stage done. That's every red ring in the game. 180 out of 180. But we're not done with the S ranks yet. We've still got this. 2 others left to go. Time for Refreshinator, which somehow killed me while I was playing this. So I just thought to myself, who dies to Refreshinator? Who dies to Refreshinator? The only boss you should ever die to in this game, really, is Admiral Jelly. And even then, it's not the Admiral himself, it's just the beginning bit. It's easy to drown in. Maybe Asteroid Coaster as well. Just because you can never tell where the asteroids are actually going to go. There you go. Don't even need to homing attack him as long as you hit him with the spike wisp. It does double damage like the laser did for Rotatatron. And there we go. Grab the rings. In fact, you don't even need the rings as long as you beat him that fast. Well, I mean, the rings still do technically give you points when you collect. This is one of the few games where you get points for collecting the rings and the ring bonus at the end as well. I think the only other game to do that was 06. And maybe Forces as well, I can't remember. But there we go, that's Planet Wisp done. Only one major stage left to go, and let's face it, it's not going to be a long one. See you guys next time for Terminal Velocity.